Session 9. What's for dinner? Zombie surprise. Interested in rushing back to the dungeon, the party apparently neglected to confirm with Ruby their plans, and the halfling missed out on the return journey since she was stuck doing chores from Gavnet the Grim. Probably chores normally designated to Xander, who was, of course, unfit to perform then, being dead and all. So they returned numbering 5 and quickly realized their newest companion, the cleric Finn O'Sullivan, was ill-prepared for their venture. He asked many questions and didn't seem to understand what their actual purpose was, nor the level of danger involved. They nonetheless found themselves back at the talking door, but made no headway with it, still unable to guess the password. Growing bored with the cleric's antics, Morgan led them back to the area of the grotto and checked out a previously unexplored room to the east. The apparently empty room seemed strange to the party, so they split up and looked for secret doors. Morgan found a wall that didn't seem like the rest, the minerals showing a little shinier than the other walls, and Andres found a secret switch to open it. It grated loudly upwards and halted about 3 feet up. The loud noise concerned their newest companion, Finn, who had gotten increasingly more jumpy as they ventured further and further. The noise did end up attracting a visitor, an elf who was initially irritated that the party would invade on elvish property. Orikeen advanced on the elf in a menacing manner, while Finn and the others attempted to de-escalate the situation. It was Zatsum who finally calmed things down by saying that they had been authorized to delve the depths by a group of elves who tasked them to recover a family heirloom. Andres was quick to corroborate the story, and the elf relented in his threats to inform his superiors. Orikeen still looked ready to spill some elf blood, but turned away in disgust as the elf departed. They examined the dead-end hall where the secret door revealed, but didn't find any way to open another secret door if one even existed. So they descended into the grotto where Xander and Anaya met their death just 24 hours earlier. Emboldened to find something with his 10-foot pole, Zatsum exited the grotto through the eastern passage, headed up a short flight of stairs, turned to his left, or north, and began beating on the dead-end corridor with the oversized stick. Almost instantly, the door to the north slid open. The magic user had found a secret door. The revealed room was the most opulent yet. A finely appointed bedroom with a canopy bed, toys strewn across the floor, and tapestries on the wall decorated the chamber. It would have been a joyous place to take a nap or daydream, had there not been 2 skeletons on the bed and a horrific one-eyed baboon monster on one of the tapestries. Gamash, an evil deity, Finn enlightened them. While Orikeen took in the story in the other tapestries, revealing Nuromen to be a conceited fellow who saw law's end as the pinnacle of his life's work, Morgan and Zatsum examined a wardrobe which contained some once nice-looking clothing, now gone to rot, and some perfume in crystal containers. Andres noted a bracelet on one of the skeletons, as well as a small, delicate-looking silver object clasped in its small hands. He noted that one skeleton was child-sized, while the other was an adult. Taking a glance at another tapestry which revealed an angelic-looking woman being worshipped by a creepy-looking man, Andres perhaps conjectured that these 2 figures may have been Nuromen's wife and child, struck dead in their sleep. Finn got into an ethical argument with Andres regarding their purpose in the dungeon, namely stealing versus recovering ancient artifacts. Orikeen wanted nothing to do with his argument, and apparently neither did Morgan, as each, respectively, took items from the room. The dwarf quickly stowed the silver object, which turned out to be an intricate silver ballerina toy, in his pack, while Andres read the inscription on the bracelet the child skeleton wore, Anthea. He quickly deduced that this might be the word they lacked to open the talking door. Without spending much more time in the room, the party headed back to the north and, before long, spoke the password Anthea to the door, which accepted it and slowly opened. Before them, the party could scarcely believe their eyes. It was a huge study, or laboratory, that must surely belong to Nuromen. Bookshelves lined the walls, as well as tables full of maps, vials, astrological baubles, globes, and all number of contraptions and devices many had never seen before. But amidst the scientific equipment were gruesome discoveries. A jar with a live frog in it, a halfling skeleton strapped to a rack, large jars full of severed limbs suspended in liquid, as well as vials of nasty-smelling and sometimes bubbling reagents of a sort they could only guess. Andres and Zatsum were drawn to a book atop a stand, which instructed the user to mix the blue elixir with the green in order to transmute stone to gold. Adjacent to this book were indeed several stones and a beaker on a metal stand with murky green liquid and a glass cup filled with blue, bubbling liquid. Neither the half-elf nor magic user seemed overly interested in following instructions, and instead followed Morrigan, who had found a couple of keys on the wall. She pointed to an iron door in the northeast corner, which drew Orokin's attention as well. The dwarf threw down a journal he'd been leafing through from a backpack, which presumably belonged to the dead halfling. Even the rookie Finn took interest in Morrigan's determined approach and stopped looking through books on a bookshelf and followed. The elf fighter easily unlocked the door with one of the two keys she found, and then walked down a short set of stairs to another iron door, this one with a slider at eye level. Interested, she slid it open and looked inside. She was horrified by what she saw. It was a torture chamber of some sort, complete with skeletons shackled to the walls, instruments of torture laid out on a table, and even a skeleton suspended in a cage. Concerned at her gasp, Andress walked over and looked inside, while Morrigan leaned against the wall and collected herself, absently handing the keys over to the dwarf. Orokin, undeterred and unable to look through the slider since it was too high for him, opened the door and ventured inside, taking it all in with a dispassionate nature that had begun to get more than a little creepy. He strode to a corner where a corpse was bound to a propped-up table, while the others entered more cautiously. The corpse suddenly came to life and leapt at the dwarf, who barely had time to pull out his axe. He swung viciously at the zombie and struck it a mighty blow in the chest, sending it back a step. But the undead monster slashed at his neck with razor-sharp claws and opened his carotid artery. With blood spurting from the fatal wound, the dwarf stumbled a couple of steps and then collapsed, his lifeblood quickly pooling all over the floor. The magic user was quick to act, firing a magic missile at the creature and halting it in its tracks, just as it was advancing towards Andress, who had taken a step to intercept it and protect the still reeling Morrigan. Finn was horrified and thrust his holy symbol forward, trusting that his deity could save him. He said a small prayer for the small one lying dead on the floor, his treasured axe still in his hands. After this, he took a step back and noticed a small pouch that was lying beneath a black-cloaked and black-hooded skeleton, still clutching a nasty whip. Pretending not to notice it, he lectured the party on their choices in life. Zatsam rolled his eyes and snatched up the pouch, while Andress and Morrigan hoisted up Orokin's lifeless body and carried him up the stairs. Deciding that they would try to grab some wine barrels and sell them in town, they passed into the underground courtyard where they were stopped dead in their tracks by 3 giant rats who were attracted to the smell of fresh blood and meat. As one, the party looked at one another. They could make a run for it, but they wouldn't be able to carry Orokin's body with them, or they could stand and fight. What would they do?